Hey everyone, welcome to American Living in Layers. I'm so glad you're here to join me as we begin this new journey, peeling back the layers of everyday life together. My mission is simple: to create, educate, and inspire, one story at a time. We'll be diving deep into global history, breaking down complex news, and sharing moral stories that impact our hearts. From researching global recipes to designing impactful graphics, every layer of this brand is built with a curious heart and a creative mind, all aimed at making a global impact. I can't wait to share these layers with you. Make sure to follow along and explore the website. I'll see you in the very first vlog. Imagine standing on the east side of Manhattan in the late 1800s. There are no roaring automobiles, no taxis, no skyline filled with skyscrapers. Today, we're telling the story of the bridge that changed New York forever. For decades, the East River was a wall of water, separating the crowded energy of Manhattan from the open fields of Queens. This is the story of how that barrier was finally broken by 75,000 tons of steel and human determination. Before the steel lattice of the Queensboro Bridge dominated the skyline, the East River was a treacherous barrier managed by a sprawling network of ferries. For the early New Yorker, travel was a slow and often dangerous gamble. In the early 1800s, Robert Fulton, the inventor of the first successful steamboat, transformed the river's transit landscape. In 1814, he launched the steam ferry Nassau, which slashed travel times from over an hour to just minutes. The Nassau was a miracle of its time, carrying hundreds of passengers and horse-drawn carriages across the churning currents. It proved that steam power could conquer the river, but it was only the beginning of New York's transit evolution. By the mid-19th century, the Union Ferry Company consolidated these routes. By 1870, they were transporting 50 million passengers annually. But even with steam, the ferries couldn't keep up with the city's explosive growth. The docks were scenes of constant chaos. Thousands of people would wait in line for hours just to make the short trip across. The city was expanding faster than any ship could carry it, and the pressure for a fixed bridge was mounting every day. The trip was often delayed by heavy fog, violent storms, and winter ice that could trap ships for hours. Businesses lost money, workers arrived late, and the city began to realize that the East River needed a fixed, permanent crossing. The idea for a bridge at 59th Street wasn't new. As early as 1838, visionaries like Dr. Thomas Rainey began a 30-year crusade to build a bridge that would connect Manhattan to what was then Long Island City. Rainey faced massive financial and political hurdles. For decades, his proposals were rejected or stalled by competing interests, but he never gave up, spending his personal fortune to keep the dream alive for a connected New York. The turning point came in 1898 when the five boroughs consolidated into the city of Greater New York. Suddenly, connecting the boroughs became a top priority for the newly unified city government. The path to the Queensboro was clear. City planners looked at Blackwell's Island, now Roosevelt Island, as a natural stepping stone. A bridge could span the river in two stages, using the island as a massive central anchor. It was an engineering solution to a geographic problem. The Brooklyn Bridge had already proven that enormous spans were possible. It had transformed Brooklyn from a separate city into a booming part of New York. City planners knew that a northern crossing would do the same for Queens. Construction officially began in 1901. Gustav Lindenthal, appointed bridge commissioner in 1902, was the primary designer. He was a brilliant iron-willed engineer who rejected earlier, more utilitarian plans for something grander. Rather than building another suspension bridge, engineers selected a steel cantilever design, a structure that extends massive arms outward from stone piers until they meet in the middle, creating incredible stability. While Lindenthal handled the engineering, architect Henry Hornbostel added the aesthetic flourishes. Inspired by the Beaux-Arts movement, he designed the ornate finials and the massive stone towers that give the bridge its regal look. One of their most beautiful collaborations was the Bridge Market below the Manhattan Approach. It features magnificent vaulted tile ceilings designed by Rafael Guastavino, creating a hidden architectural cathedral in the heart of the city. Guastavino's interlocking tile system was a revolutionary technique, allowing for massive spans without heavy support beams. These tiles have survived over a century of vibration and weather, remaining as beautiful as the day they were laid. Joining them was Leffert L. Buck, a consulting engineer who had worked on the Williamsburg Bridge. Together, this team finalized a dual-deck configuration that could handle everything from pedestrians to heavy elevated trains. The sheer scale of the construction was unprecedented. Building the Queensboro Bridge required a staggering 75,000 tons of steel. It was one of the largest steel orders in the history of the world at that time. Every single rivet and beam had to be perfect to ensure the giant would stand against the East River's powerful winds. The steel was forged in massive plants and shipped in pieces, then assembled like a giant jigsaw puzzle in the sky. The work was terrifyingly dangerous. Thousands of workers balanced hundreds of feet above the river with little more than leather belts and pure courage. They were the unsung heroes who built the New York skyline by hand. The work was terrifyingly dangerous. Thousands of workers balanced hundreds of feet above the river with little more than leather belts and pure courage. They were the unsung heroes who built the New York skyline by hand. Safety standards were primitive. 50 workers lost their lives during construction, falling from the heights or being crushed by massive steel. Their sacrifice is etched into the very rivets of the bridge we drive across today. But the bridge faced more than just physical dangers. In 1907, the Quebec Bridge in Canada collapsed during construction, sending shockwaves through the engineering world and bringing work on the Queensboro to a temporary, fearful halt. Then, in 1908, a severe windstorm nearly destroyed a partially completed span. Experts spent months carefully reviewing every calculation, eventually adding more steel and safety improvements to guarantee its survival for generations. Even as the steel went up, a scandal erupted. It was discovered that the Pennsylvania Steel Company had allegedly installed unnecessary steel to increase their profits. Ironically, this overbuilding made the bridge even stronger than planned. On March 30th, 1909, the first crossing took place. But it was June 18th that saw the grand festive opening. Crowds gathered to witness what many newspapers called a modern engineering miracle, celebrated by millions. Celebratory banners hung from the trusses as flags waved over the East River. It was the longest cantilever bridge in North America, stretching nearly 7,500 feet, including its approaches. A new era had begun. The dual-deck design was a marvel of efficiency. Originally, it carried a mix of horse-drawn wagons, early automobiles, streetcars, and even elevated trains on the upper deck. It was built to move a city that was rapidly changing. The impact was immediate. What once required waiting for ferries in the cold and fog could now be done in minutes. The bridge became the valve that finally released Manhattan's density into the open fields across the river. For many years, the bridge was the only way to reach Blackwell's Island, now known as Roosevelt Island. But there was a catch. There were no direct ramps for vehicles. Passengers had to use a unique elevator system. This island elevator was a massive undertaking of its own, lowering cars and people down to the island below. It wasn't until 1955 that the Roosevelt Island Bridge was built, providing a more traditional connection to the mainland. Today, the iconic Roosevelt Island tramway glides parallel to the bridge's steel frame. It serves as a reminder of the island's once isolated history and the creative engineering solutions New Yorkers have always embraced. As New York entered the post-war era of the 1940s and 50s, the bridge underwent a massive transition. The era of the trolley and the elevated train was ending, replaced by the unstoppable rise of the automobile. By the mid 1950s, the trolley tracks and elevated train lines were removed. The bridge was reconfigured into the 9 vehicle lanes we know today, forever prioritizing the car over the older modes of transit. This shift fueled the growth of the suburban dream in Queens and Long Island. The bridge was no longer just a city link, it was the backbone of a new commuter culture that would define New York life for the next century. Perhaps no borough benefited more than Queens. Before the bridge, Western Queens was a cluster of independent villages, factories, and small farms. After the bridge opened, the landscape was transformed almost overnight. Long Island City was defined by waterfront factories and tanneries, a sleepy industrial backwater. The bridge's completion acted as the catalyst that turned LIC into a booming, vital hub for the entire city's economy. Developers rushed to build homes, and thousands of families relocated from crowded Manhattan. Farmland was quickly converted into the row houses and apartments that still define much of Queens today. It was a population explosion. The bridge is the primary reason Queens evolved into one of New York City's largest and most populated boroughs. It created a new way of living for millions, bridging the gap between work and home. Even today, engineers admire Lindenthal's design. Unlike the Brooklyn or Manhattan bridges, the Queensboro isn't suspended by cables. Instead, it relies on giant steel trusses to carry its enormous weight through engineering precision. The steel framework distributes weight so efficiently that over a century later, it continues to carry heavy daily traffic without the need for massive suspension cables. It remains a masterpiece of early 20th century technology. More than a century after opening, it remains one of the world's busiest crossings. Today, it carries roughly 180,000 vehicles each day, acting as a tireless workhorse for the people of New York. It never stops working. It's not just for cars. Thousands of cyclists and pedestrians cross its spans daily, enjoying iconic views of the Manhattan skyline. The bridge connects people on a personal, human scale every single day. Millions of people know it by another name, the 59th Street Bridge. It has appeared in countless movies, television shows, and photographs, becoming an indelible part of global pop culture and the New York identity. Perhaps its most famous cinematic appearance was in Woody Allen's Manhattan, where the bridge stands as a silent, majestic witness to the city's beauty. It has become a symbol of New York romance and mystery. In 1966, Simon and Garfunkel released the 59th Street Bridge song. Paul Simon reportedly wrote the lyrics at 6 a.m. while walking across the bridge toward his home in Queens, capturing a feeling of morning peace. Lyrics like "kicking down the cobblestones" refer to the stone paving once found at the Queens Approach. The song immortalized the bridge as a place of joyful transition and simple city pleasures. In literature, F. Scott Fitzgerald immortalized it in The Great Gatsby. Nick Carraway observed that the city seen from the bridge is always the city seen for the first time, in its wild promise of mystery and beauty. In the late 20th century, the bridge underwent massive renovations during the mayoralty of Ed Koch. Koch was famously fond of the structure, often standing at the entrance to shout, "Welcome to my bridge," to passing drivers. In 2011, it was officially renamed the Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge in his honor. While some residents still prefer the classic names, the new title stands as a tribute to a man who loved the city and its vital connections. Today, a major 2022 to 2025 rehabilitation project is underway. It involves replacing the upper deck and converting the south outer roadway into a dedicated pedestrian path, ensuring the bridge remains safe and accessible. Maintaining a bridge of this scale is a tireless 24-hour effort. Crews work year-round to inspect every beam and rivet, preserving the historic character of this cantilever giant for the millions who rely on it. Underneath the Manhattan side of the bridge lies one of New York's greatest architectural secrets, the Bridge Market. This vast, cathedral-like space was once a bustling open-air market for the city's residents. The space is defined by its soaring Guastavino tile arches. This unique design wasn't just for beauty, it was a structural necessity, creating a massive pillar-free space that could support the weight of the traffic above. Over the decades, the space transitioned from a traditional market to a variety of modern uses. Today, it stands as a reminder that even the most functional parts of our city can be infused with incredible art and design. The Queensboro's path wasn't just built with steel, it was paved with political battles. Gustav Lindenthal had to fight fierce rivals and shifting city administrations to keep his cantilever vision alive. Critics argued that a suspension bridge would be cheaper and faster to build, but Lindenthal stood his ground, believing that only a cantilever bridge could provide the strength and permanence New York deserved. He won the fight, and the city got an icon. The overbuilding scandal turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Because the steel company added extra material for profit, the bridge became significantly stronger than any engineer had intended, allowing it to survive the modern era's massive traffic loads. The Queensboro Bridge is more than steel and rivets. It is a symbol of determination, a monument to engineering excellence, and proof that great cities are built not just with buildings, but with connections. For over 115 years, this remarkable bridge has carried millions of dreams across the East River. Every car, every cyclist, and every pedestrian becomes part of a story that began in 1901 and continues today. Becomes part of a story that continues every single day. Every bridge has a story, and we'll uncover many more together. Thank you for joining me on this journey across the 59th Street span. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the history of New York's Queensboro Bridge, please like, share, and subscribe to American Living in Layers. I'll see you in the next story.